Hi, I'm Adam Natali, Director of SVA Theater at the School of Visual Arts. If you've never heard of SVA, we're a preeminent art and design college in New York City. Check the video description for more info. Since 2014, SVA Theater has hosted After School Special, the college's annual alumni film and animation festival. The festival is normally a series of free screenings followed by Q&As with alumni who are successfully working in the film industry. Even though we're unable to host in-person screenings this year, we're thrilled to be able to present interviews with over 25 alumni who've worked on a wide variety of feature films, television shows, documentaries, animated films, and more. All of our festival interviews will premiere here on YouTube during the week of September 21st. We're calling this our work from home edition of After School Special, and our guests are zooming in from all over the world, from Singapore and Germany to Canada and California. Tonight's Q&A is what we're calling a SVA Premieres Where Are They Now? Allow me to briefly explain. Every year since 2016, the Friday night centerpiece of After School Special has been a best of collection of work of that year's graduates called SVA Premieres. It's a highly selective program with approximately 20 graduating students chosen each year. These students get to travel to Los Angeles to tour film and animation studios, meet with major players in the industry, and to screen their films at a stunning theater in the heart of Hollywood. Since we can't screen the SVA Premieres Best of program this year, we're instead checking in with graduates who participated in SVA Premieres since its inception, all of whom are already experiencing major success in their field. They've worked on major films and series, and we'll provide info and links to their work in the description below. I hope you enjoyed tonight's Q&A. A full schedule of the After School Special 2020 interviews can be found at svatheater.com, but all videos will remain on YouTube following their premieres. And if you're interested in viewing past After School Special interviews, you can visit the School of Visual Arts' YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in, and fingers crossed, we hope to see you in person at SVA Theater in the near future. I'd like to welcome Ninad Kolkarni, a 2017 graduate of SVA's MFA Computer Arts program, whose thesis film, Clock, which is actually spelled K-C-L-O-C, was shown in year 2 of SVA premieres and went on to be featured at MoMA and at over 130 film festivals worldwide. It won over 20 awards, including the Red Dot Award, Society of Motion Pictures and Television Engineers Award, and the AT&T Film Award. Ninad is a 3D artist, immersive storyteller, and animation filmmaker, and is an awardee of the coveted Forbes 30 Under 30 India. He's worked with some of the biggest brands in the industry, such as Make in India campaign, Audi, and Beatsteaks. His most recent project, a collaborative virtual reality film, The Other Side VR, is the first immersive experience based on the partition of India, marrying the traditional printmaking technique of woodcut with 3D animation. And we're going to see a little bit of that later on. Ninad annually hosts the animation panel at the NAB Show Live and currently works as the creative director of XR for the studio Nice Shoes. So with that, let's welcome Ninad. Hey, how are you?
Hey, Adam. How's it going?
Good. All good here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you. Before I get started, we've sent this out to everyone, but Ninad created a special augmented reality sort of image play thing that he'll describe it more, but this is who created it. So if you clicked on it and downloaded it and tried it out, this is the creator. So I'd like to thank Ninad for that. And now let's talk to him for a bit. So Ninad, your SVA experience, you went as a graduate student in our MFA Computer Arts program. Can you talk about how you came to that program and any previous experience before that with computer art and AR and VR, etc.?
Absolutely. Oh, I absolutely had no clue what AR or VR meant at the time. I did study animation before I came to School of Visual Arts, but it was all traditional animation. So it was more hand-drawn, cell animation, using a lunchbox, shifting your peg bars and shifting sheets and So it was quite an experience going frame by frame on a piece of paper to going to frame by frame on a computer. But I came to SVA with a very clear mindset. I wanted to learn 3D animation, but even though I wanted to learn 3D animation, I never saw myself getting into the sort of mainstream 3D animation industry. I never saw myself working for the Pixar's, Blue Skies. I don't know what it was. It was just, I just had an interest that sort of went beyond 3D animation. So even, and that was one of my most attractive, sort of pulls at this program at School of Visual Arts, where I had the opportunity of focusing on 3D animation, but I was also given this opportunity to also pick up other subjects like motion graphics and explore motion graphics in depth, and also physical computing, get into microcontrollers and start dealing with physical animation versus virtual animation. And later on, when I on sort of like the last few months of graduation, I think School of Visual Arts was one of the first few schools to actually adopt AR and VR straight up, and I was very happy to actually get hands-on experience with that. Yeah, so I think I had one of my sort of, it was a blessing coming to School of Visual Arts. I had this New York was incredible. The school is the city, and the city is the school in many ways. So yeah, that's sort of my experience in a nutshell. It was incredible, and it was great being part of the SVA premieres. So many opportunities came by post graduation. As you mentioned, Clock, my short that I did for my thesis, did so wonderfully well, and the School of Visual Arts was really sort of, their role was vital in pushing the film to the right places. So yeah.
That's great. So you said, that the program helped you get it out to festivals. Did it just sort of catch momentum and it started to go from one festival to the other, or were you submitting it to over 100 festivals? I mean, clearly it was in over 130 festivals.
It was a combination of both. It definitely was a domino effect. I mean, once your film is out there and it's recognized by one of the big festivals, and more importantly, it's not just about your film being showcased there. It's about you going with the film, speaking for the film, showing people who you are and what your voice is and what you really want to do, what your ambitions are. And it's an amazing place. Festivals are amazing, and I miss it now. Of course, in the pandemic, it's hard. I mean, I don't know how festivals are going to happen in the future, but it's such a wonderful environment where like-minded people come together to discuss creative work that they've put their heart and souls into. And that is essentially, it just encourages you to keep doing it more and more. And so, of course, School of Visual Arts put in my film to so many different festivals, but I was encouraged to apply to as many as possible. And I did exactly that. And I only was received with positives. So I was very lucky, I guess.
That's great. So it seems like right after you graduated from SVA, things really started rolling for you. And I mean, 3 years out, you've accomplished a lot. So I'd love to hear about your career since then. I mentioned you're with the studio Nice Shoes now. Can you talk about what's gone on in the past 3 years and how you landed at Nice Shoes?
Absolutely. I spoke about like me wanting to explore beyond 3D animation, and that's exactly what kind of happened. I've always been very creative, but I wanted to explore the interest of technology that I share. And I found a wonderful way to do that immediately after graduating. Of course, I traveled a lot with the film, and I got great experience at going to different places in the US, not only in the US, but I also traveled to Taiwan, I traveled to different parts of Asia, and all of that experience counted. It gave me confidence to come back to New York and be able to stand for my work and be positive about no matter what I did, I wanted to get my work out there. And just one of those sort of projects that I did, a small little project that got recognized by Terrence Masson, our own chair. He's like, wow, you're exploring VR. And we have actually an amazing project that we are trying to do at the school in collaboration with Bill Plimpton. And why don't you join us? Because I know you wanted to explore it. It's a new world. And you would, of course, love working with us, and we would love to have you. And that was such a wonderful way of me to continue that relationship. You know, when you graduate from a school, especially a master's program, which is just 2 years, you might feel like you don't have that sort of undergrad like experience where you like have so many years of like, you know, friendships and all of that. It was anything but that. I mean, for me, it was all about just connecting and staying connected even now. You know, it's just it's amazing how good those relationships sort of tied in. And going back to the story, I was called in by Terrence Masson. He called me in to work on this Bill Plimpton VR project. And I worked with School of Visual Arts, and I got a great opportunity to work with Bill on sort of, you know, bringing one of his great short films from 1968, I believe, if I'm not wrong, back to life in VR. And that was sort of my entry into virtual reality. I didn't have any exposure. I had just tried a few things at that point, but that's what led me into exploring virtual reality. And during that project, I met this wonderful creative director, Tom Westerlund, who was also working on the same project, who introduced me to Nice Shoes. So you see how everything is just crazy connected. I mean, I never really had to hunt my way in the market. It just sort of fell into place. I mean, I always had a path in front of me. Never had I had to like, where am I going? No confusions. It was all set up. And Nice Shoes was an amazing home. Another place where, you know, Nice Shoes has been I've been working there for a year now as a creative director, and I've got so much freedom to explore AR, VR, experiential, and we're doing works with clients, with brands that are high-end brands to in-house explorations. They're also encouraging for me to make my own documentary films, which I would never want to stop doing. And all of that, I'm getting to explore all of that in this realm of AR, VR, and XR, something that I never knew, even after SVA. In fact, you know, just the last 2 months before graduation, I found out about AR, VR. So that's sort of been the trajectory, and it's been amazing. It's really been incredible, and the sort of projects that have come about, some of them are focusing commercially focused projects, but some of them are so inherently rooted in the kind of stories that I want to tell. Yeah, we'll speak a little bit about work, I guess, but that's kind of how it sort of happened.
Yeah, I'd love to actually have everyone take a look at your work now. We have some photos of your work, including some things I mentioned when reading your bio, and then we have some of your upcoming work as well. So, so first we'll show some photos, and I'll have you talk about that. So this is an image, or it's a bunch of images actually, from your thesis film, Clock.
Yeah. It's amazing to look at these images again. I haven't seen them in a while. This is pretty much a snapshot of the film Clock. For people who haven't seen it, Clock is an animated documentary on people's perception of time. I interviewed about, I think, 60 at this point, if I remember correctly. I interviewed about 60 different individuals from different walks of life, and I asked them the question about what was their perception of time, or how they perceive time differently now that they're older, or if they've changed a profession. I spoke to people from on the streets versus people who are doctors, you know, surgeons, and just to assess how time is perceived differently. And I didn't know what direction the film was going to go in, but it turned out to be my perception of time through different voices.
It's a beautiful film. And then next we have, you mentioned the Bill Plimpton film. And just for everyone's knowledge, if you don't recognize the animation, Bill Plimpton is an Oscar nominee for animated short films. He's done music videos for Kanye West, and fun fact, he is an alumnus of SVA.
Yeah, again, an incredible project. So many challenges. As soon as you see the images, you'll understand it's very much Bill Plimpton style, color pencils, squiggly animation, but all of that, wait a second, it's in VR. So now you're wearing a headset with all of that amazing Bill Plimpton style. And the biggest trick for us was lots and lots of trial and error, because how does virtual reality by itself started as a medium which made you sick, right? Because screen was really close to your eyes, you were immersed. and refresh rates at the time on these devices weren't good enough. And now you're creating a world that's constantly shifting with his animation style. But what an exploration this was. And it turned out to be a great project, and we found the right balance between style and what works in VR. It was
And
great.
is there a place where people can take a look at this piece? Is it on Plimpton or?
I believe School of Visual, so the MFA department itself sort of owns the rights to it alongside Bill Plimpton. He was the first artist in resident at the department. So I think, I'm not sure if School of Visual Arts has released it, but
Okay.
That's the trick with VR. It's always a trick as to how do you release VR.
Sure.
Yeah. So this is one of my newer projects, actually. We've been getting a lot of interesting questions now that like more and more brands are getting acquainted with VR. They come to us asking for high-end sort of VR experiences, and it's a trick because it's a huge amount of real estate and like, you know, the amount of technology running all of this is so taken for granted. But this is one such project that I'm trying to do, is to stretch the boundaries of what high-end VR can look like. And of course, stories being for me always the most important thing. Here are the stories about how it's an artistic piece on how man's impact on the earth can be seen in these juxtaposed straight lines that you don't otherwise get to see in the world. How does being outside in the pandemic world and flowing through these massive landscapes feel like, but they're all manufactured in some way. And so just that hint of change, and this is good. This is an unfolding project, and this is just one still, but I'd love to keep people posted on how things sort of move along with this.
Great.
So, so this is the Make in India campaign. This was a national level campaign released by the Prime Minister and the DIPP of India a few years ago. And I was very lucky to be part of such a big project where I was the lead 3D animator on it and the lead 3D artist. So all of these 3D lines that you see, the geared lines, all of those were modeled in Maya initially. And then they saw so many different applications, whether it was fabrications. This is the actual parade at the Republic Day. And it was also turned into monuments, which were given to different countries, and also trophies at very important events, and delegates were gifted. So it was just incredible to see how something so simple as a model and a creative device that lives on your computer can transition to so many different applications.
Very cool.
So this was a quick project I did with my friend Tushar Ghai. This was a project that was done with India Nama, an initiative that was run by Animal based off in India. They asked us to create, they invited artists from around the world and asked us to create a different way of looking at Indian themes. And in this case, we were given the theme of Indian percussive instruments. And there are thousands of Indian percussive instruments. So this was my way of interpreting, and this was our way of interpreting how all these instruments come together to form one sort of creative beast who travels around the world, passing around the creativity. So yeah.
Beautiful image. And then we have you at the NAB show live, which unfortunately isn't happening this year, but tell us a little bit more about your involvement.
So I definitely do miss NAB this year. It did happen virtually, but it's such an incredible event where more than 100,000 people come together to celebrate media, entertainment, and technology. As part of my festival tour, if I can call it that, I met wonderful individuals, and this was sort of this opportunity was created out of one such event where I met this wonderful individual, Ryan Salazar, who runs the Broadcast Beat NAB show live event. And he saw me speak on stage, and he was like, Anad, you do such an incredible job. I want you, and you have great thoughts about animation. You have great vision for this, and I want you to be on stage. I want you to be a host of the NAB show live, if that's possible, if you're interested. And it just became such an amazing engagement for me, and I've been doing it every year since then. And this was actually a panel where I focused on women in film and animation, and such an important topic, such an important thing to speak about, to make sure that women have the right platform to be able to equally work in the industry. And this was one such talk that I did, and I keep doing it every year.
Great. And then we have your cover from Forbes 30 Under 30. How'd you land that?
So this was an incredible moment, of course. I was already coming out of so many success stories out of film festivals, and I never thought something like this could happen. A feature like this would ever happen. And a lot of my friends forced me in sort of considering if I should vouch my name for something like this, and I didn't. It actually happened on its own. Someone nominated me for it, and I got picked up, and they did a couple of rounds, I believe, and it was an incredible experience to meet what an amazing batch of Forbes 30 Under 30, from sportsmen to entrepreneurs to artists, YouTubers, and fashion designers, just incredible artists who are doing incredible things in their careers. People who are really sort of changing how we work in the 2019s or 2020s, and it was amazing to be part of this amazing group.
It's incredible. It's a great shot of you too. It's really very, very cool. I now want to switch over and show some videos of your work. First, this is a VR piece that you did. If you want to explain this while we play it.
Yeah. So this was a game that we did for the Dubai Ministry of Health. This was released only internally, but this is a wonderful project that I got to work on with a great team. We were putting together a small game to test out on how, if VR can be used to teach kids how to make healthy choices in foods. So the game's mechanics are simple. It's you cut the bad food and you eat the good food and you catch the good food. And it was great. It was a great project. And I think it did really well. We did a few tests with kids and they enjoyed it.
And then I want to show your upcoming project. It looks really beautiful. The Other Side VR. Why don't you tell everyone about this?
Yeah, so this is a project that's very dear to me. It's been in the making for about a year and a half now. It's not only my project. I'm working with an amazing collaborator, an amazing friend, Anak Banerjee, who is also, by the way, from School of Visual Arts. He's from the illustration department and has been doing, as part of his thesis, actually, that's how it started. As part of his thesis project, he decided to focus on the woodcut techniques, but more importantly, also decided to focus on the theme of the partition of India. His grandmother was one of the migrants from Bangladesh, and she had to go through a lot, and so many stories, of course, came along with her. And he realized how important it was to document, to dig into these stories. And one fine day, I walked past his room. We also happened to be roommates. So one fine day, I walked past one of his woodcut prints, and I was like, Anag, this is incredible. Why don't we try and bring it into a different realm? And that gave the rise to an immersive woodcut VR project. So this is the first ever woodcut VR project that's probably happened. So that's just the trailer for it. So I know it sort of looks like a film right now, but it will be immersive. It will be available in virtual reality. Absolutely, and it's going to be basically a documentary style focus on the partition of India. For people who don't know the partition of India, India was broken into pieces in Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh in 1947. And this caused the largest mass migration in human history, with over, I think, 14 million people lost their homes overnight, and over religious unrest, over many different issues. And so many of those stories need to be documented. And now we're reaching, I think, 75 years, close to 75 years since that event, and we're losing people who have those stories. So it's important for us to bring and tell these stories in a medium like VR that enables you to not only gather attraction for the technology, but also be able to tell a meaningful story using technology.
Yeah, I think, there are definitely surely some people watching who think VR as really just like another device for gaming, but with projects like this and a lot of projects that have come out of places like Sundance and South by Southwest, there's an opportunity to have stories, whether it be a documentary or even historical fiction
Yeah.
or interpretations. So it's really interesting to see this project, and hopefully we'll be able to get that out to people at SVA and beyond when it's ready. So looking back on all this work, was there any piece that you especially enjoyed working on, even if it's something that we didn't see?
I definitely enjoyed working on Clock, and I'll always cherish it. I know I've spoken about it already, but I'll speak about it more and forever and ever. It's just a project that sort of began everything for me, and it was one of the projects where I was learning how to do what to do, but at the same time I was also wanting to do everything on my own, and it was an incredible experience to do every aspect of filmmaking, whether it's storyboarding, writing the stories, going and recording audio, mixing that audio in 5.1 channels and in Dolby or whatever, animating it, acting it, texturing it, modeling it, all of those things, and screenplay, every aspect of the film. And that's what my focus was like, and I would sort of recommend this to students as well, that try to incorporate in your thesis everything that you are interested in, every aspect of what you want to do or you're interested in. Try to incorporate that as much as possible, because that's your way to really explore. And you may or may not get that opportunity to do it again. I think you can get that opportunity endless times, but why not do it while you're learning? And
Sure.
I really share a great experience with that film. Yeah.
So just since we've mentioned it quite a bit, and since it's won so many awards and played so many festivals, can people see it online anywhere?
Absolutely. I hadn't officially like sort of released it online myself, but so many film festivals have released it. I think if you go to the Red Dot website, they've released it. If you go to the ADC, it also won the ADC Cube. So it's on the ADC website. It's up there on YouTube. If you type Clock, it'll be there. And a few days ago, I saw a torrent, which was ridiculous that there actually is a torrent for the film. That's when you know that the film is doing well. So
So I guess the easiest way would be YouTube, though. And again, it's spelled KCLOCK. No, I spelled it wrong.
KCLOC.
There you go. I added an extra K in there, but so that's how it's spelled, and we'll try to link to it in the description for this video. So so let's tell everyone a little bit about the piece you're creating for this festival that we sent out and made available to everyone.
Yeah, so it's a fun little AR piece that I thought I should do. Adam reached out to me, of course, that we're doing this amazing initiative. We want to speak to you, and I was like, I'm working on little AR examples. I've been testing out some AR files that are easily shareable, and I felt like given everyone's going to be at home, it's going to be less interactive. And is there a way for the audience to take something away from this and actually bring it home? And I thought, we have such a wonderful logo that's been designed. Can I create sort of an interactive spin on it? There we go. Can I create an interactive spin on it and drop it in AR so that everyone can scan the QR code, I believe, or get the link, click on it, and it's in your room, and you can play around with it. It bounces around, and you got it. That's after school, a little AR sample for you.
Well, thank you for creating that. So you had to do that working from home during the pandemic. So can you tell us a little bit how you've been working from home, and if you want to show us your workspace where you are currently?
So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was very much based in New York the whole time, and I probably will be based in New York at the end of it as well. But I took a temporary sort of move to Maryland. I'm living with my aunt here. But given what I do, given all the AR and VR stuff that I do, I'm traveling in a truck, basically. I'm always traveling with all my equipment, because without that, I'm not going to be able to do all that kind of work. So let me just sort of pick up my.
You'll take us on a tour.
Yeah, take you on a little tour. So that's sort of, let me see, there we go. Okay, that's sort of my, in a snapshot, my setup, right? Here you have one of the lighthouses that tracks the VR headset. There are a couple of VR headsets that I'll take you towards. I have a large screen. I would have gone for multiple screens, but one large screen sort of is easier to carry, so I stick with that. I have my monitor speakers just so that if I need to do any audio, I'm like sort of a one-man sort of band most times. There's another tracker right there. I've got multiple, right? I have a GPU if I need to have like extra power needed, plug that into the machine. I've got multiple controllers here. This is the Oculus Quest standalone VR device, which is sort of amazing. This is changing how VR is viewed today, and I'm excited about it. The new version should be out very soon. I always have my camera. If I see a bird out there, I want to run, take a picture of it. Mm-hmm. And then the 8K VR headset. This is the Pimax, I believe, and this talking about high-end VR. This is what's happening. And then there's my little beast down there doing all the calculations. Wow. And that's kind of my space in a nutshell. And of course, it's my laptop where I take all my Zoom calls.
Well, your aunt is very nice to clear that much space for you.
Oh, she's very, very kind.
So that's great. And so, I saw on your computer, it looked like Rebirth was up on that, and you're doing the other side right now. The other side is a VR, is a personal project, excuse me. So are you sort of going back and forth between personal projects and your work for Nice Shoes?
What's incredible is the other side started, and it always was a personal project, but Nice Shoes, like I said, they're so amazing. They have decided to partner with me on that, and they're supporting it in full. So we're trying to look for opportunities to get fully funded from other grants, etc. as well, but it's found sort of a home there for now. And of course, while there's commercial work, we do work that pays us and that keeps us afloat. But then there are always you always want to do work that you're proud of and that you want to win awards for. And other side is a project that fits that bill perfectly, and we wanted to do good work with it. And Nice Shoes saw the potential in it, so I'm working with them on the same.
That's terrific. And so, working at Nice Shoes and just working in the industry as long as you have, being a person of color and being international, can you talk about your experience in the industry from those angles?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest challenges that you face is as an international coming, and this is probably common anywhere you go. When you leave your country, you're of course in the most vulnerable sort of position. You're also learning. You want to learn. That's why you're sort of traveling. But there are so many other things that come along with it. Visas, changing times. It's just really complex. And I would say one thing that helped me the most was build a strong community with your school, with your friends, and everyone's sort of in the same boat. And I think where I am right now is because everyone was so helpful to me coming out of school and sort of fighting all those unknowns. When you graduate, you might get that feeling like, wow, what's the next step for me? Suddenly, like the shelter that was on your roof is gone, and it's not that. It's like the SVA, especially the SVA community, I've noticed is so massive and so incredible and widespread. And everyone so far I've reached out to has only been amazing and willing to help. And I think my experience as an international here has been amazing, has been luckily very, very good so far. And I hope it continues that way. And I wish everyone else, whoever's coming in as well, the same.
Well, it's good that you've had such a good experience, and it's amazing to see all that you've done. You've already given some great advice and great tips. Any other advice you want to leave for those watching who might be interested in the work that you're doing and pursuing that?
Absolutely. I think this industry is self-validating itself right now, especially the XR industry, given that we are coming out of the pandemic. We are hopefully coming out of it soon. but we are in the pandemic right now. And while everyone feels like they're stuck at home, AR, VR can give you that sort of slight break from reality. And I had my first VR meeting a few weeks ago while playing table tennis. And I can't believe that's become a reality where I can actually run around my room. I'm of course looking like an idiot to people in the house, but they don't know how much fun I'm having and being creative while sort of moving around playing table tennis and discussing creative ideas. And it's just an industry full of potential, and whoever, and any artists or any creatives out there, any students out there who are interested in exploring it, absolutely go for it. I think it's a growing industry, and it's only growing from here on and getting bigger and bigger.
That's great. Well, I'm so pleased to see the work that you're doing. And can you tell people where to keep an eye on the other side?
Absolutely. I think for now, the other side is going to be sort of silent. We're going to have a website up soon, theothersidevr.com. It'll be up very, very soon. But if you follow me on any sort of social media platforms, Instagram, you can find me there. Kolkarni, that's my name. You can find me there. And Facebook, I always try to keep everything posted. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions, anything related to tech, anything related to film, anything related to life. Just reach out. It'll be fun. I'm always happy to help students and creatives in the industry. So yeah.
Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for offering all of that. And we'll look forward to seeing more of your work down the line. Be well, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Adam.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'd like to welcome Mengshi Zhou, a 2017 graduate of SVA's MFA Computer Arts program, whose thesis film, I Want You So Bad, was shown in year 2 of SVA premieres. Since graduation, Mengshi has worked as a visual effects compositor on several films and television shows, including The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Iron Fist, The Tick, Pose, American Horror Story, The Blacklist, and The Good Doctor. She currently works in the New York office of Fuse FX, and in 2020 alone, her work can be seen on I Know This Much Is True on HBO, Outer Banks and the Politician on Netflix, and Tommy on CBS. Let's welcome Mengshi. Hey Mengshi, how are you?
Hello everyone, I'm Mengshi Zhou, and nice to meet you, Adam.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I'd love to, yeah, we hung out back in Los Angeles a few years ago.
Your 2 years or 3 years ago, yeah.
Your work was incredible. But I'd first love to have you talk about your experience at SVA a little bit as a graduate student in the computer arts program.
Okay, let's go back to 5 years ago. It was like a really intense program for me. I was like a 2D motion graphic designer and an animator in China like 5 years ago. But when I attend SVA MFA program, I decided to become a CG generalist. That is my goal at the first year of the program. But after the first year of the summer break, there is a compositor internship opportunity. Then I was like, why not to try it on? So I got the opportunity, and things changed a little bit after that. I feel like it's really good. It's really cool to be a compositor. So my career path starts from that. It's a turning point for me. And at the second year, I spent much of my time on my thesis film and got a really good opportunity to have the Hollywood premiere show with SVA. It's a really nice journey. And yeah, and after the program, I still keep the relationship with our school, like SVA, and also have a lot of so much alumni in the industry, like 80% of with my coworkers, they're from SVA. So it's like a big family. I really have enjoy my time during SVA.
That's great. And when we took you to Hollywood for SVA premieres, I remember your piece getting a lot of attention, and specifically, it's great. And it's like, it's a concise piece that's focused on visual effects set to music. And I remember specifically an alumna from SVA who works at the Griffith Observatory, where she creates like the planetarium shows. She wanted to meet with you right after that. Do you remember that experience at all?
Yes, actually, after premiere show in Hollywood, we have like after parties, like a business casual show, social places, and they ask my name and how I created the film because they also wanted to create like a video, to introduction video for the observatory, and also the day after that, they invited me to have a tour. They gave me a tour to the observatory. It was a really nice experience.
That's great. I'm glad you were able to have that. I mean, the Griffith Observatory is such a beautiful museum, and the work that they do there is great.
I'm happy to have a relationship with them, have the connection.
That's great. So, you know, can you tell us, just for those of us who don't work in visual effects, what a compositor does specifically?
A compositor is actually the final step, the polish step for the whole pipeline, for the whole workflow. Like after we call all the on-set thing, the crew member thing, we call that production part. And we are the post-production part, is including like all the CG things. And then we are the 2D team. The 3D team pass by their work to us, and we gathering all the things together and put all the 3D things into the plate, which is all the sequence they shoot. And we create the photorealistic work. So,
and the work, go ahead.
Yeah, so people may think, oh, it's a really cool visual effects, but I didn't see any like a big fire, like a big water, big VFX going on. So what did you do? I said, because I do the photorealistic thing. So if you don't recognize there's a visual effects, that means I'm doing a good work.
Yeah, it is. And you've worked on so many shows and movies since graduation. I've listed a few, but if someone looks at your IMDb profile, it's very lengthy, and you've only been out of school for about 3 years. I'd love to show your reel and have you talk about it and talk about some of the projects that you've worked on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at your video reel here, and we'll pause through it so you can talk about the sequences that you worked on.
Okay, so this one is actually a film, Annabelle Comes Home. I remember it was last year, and for this one, we created this little demons effects. So the demon have a little jitter like this, and we wanted to have it, the cross on his forehead. We're gonna burn it out and also create a smoke. So if you play that, you can see how his forehead is burning. And this one is actually a CG stuff. So I composed it with the plate and the CG together. And this one is from the show Tick 3 years ago. It was a long time. And this shot is a slow motion, like someone is shooting the bullet. It's a very common shot. The bullet shot and the muzzle flash is very common as a compositor. We do that every day. But this one is a little bit advanced because we spent like 20 hours to do the slow motion effects. And also we have like the heat distortion around the bullet. If you play that, you can see it. And the bullet is also CG stuff. And there's a lot of stuff going on. Like we separate 2 different plates, and the woman and the man who is shooting, they are 2 different plates. So let's go ahead. So this one is for I remember it's HBO. The show, the mini TV series show called When They See Us, and it was nominated and win the Emmy Awards last year, I remember. So this one, they shoot it in the autumn, and there's no snow at all, but they want to create a snow scene. So our CG team rendered the snowfalls and all the snows on the roof and the grass. And I composed it to change the season. If we play that, you can see it. Yep. And this shot is also from When They See Us. It's a monster shot. Actually, we have like 10 people collaborate on this shot, from our CG team, our camera track team, and 4 compositors together. So basically, we changed the store, the what is that? KFC chicken, fried chicken store, and also replace all the metals outside of the store. And also we recreate the Central Park. We build more trees on that and add some birds onto it. If you play that, you can see it. And there's so many things overlap with the people's likes and the feet. So we spend like 10 hours to clean up. And also we replace the cars in the park. It's all CG stuff. And go ahead, play it, please. Yep. So we add more trees. And this one is Quibi's show, the mini show from, it's on show last month, I remember. It's called Survive. So in this one, I actually worked as a matte painter. So like the mountains, the snow mountains behind the foreground mountains is all from matte painting. I created that in Photoshop and passed by it to other compositors. And the foreground mountain is the plate, if you play that. So we projected all the background snow mountain to the 3D scene. So this shot is from the Warrior. I worked at Zoic as a freelancer. So this one, they create a CG explosion, the fires, everything, and all the confettis in the background. If you play that, yes. And this one is a really interesting one. Actually, that is my first job after I graduate in a production studio. It's from Run the Jewels, a rap singer team. We made the music video for them. So basically, this a really heavy CG, heavy VFX music video. And this is the practical sequence we grabbed from the website, and we created as a night view. If you play that, you can see it. All the lightning going on the spider, we put that on the Empire State Buildings. It's like a epic moment. And this show is from Tell Me a Story, episode 10. So the woman, her face is burning, and we call this grilled cheese burning shot, because when the people is pull her hair back, you can see the grilled cheese. Very gross. Yep. Yep. Grilled cheese. And this one also, if you see the screen, it shows on the mountain. I create the matte painting for it, and some other compositor helps me to put this on the green screen, the monitors. All the mud, all the cars. And this is from the Castle Rock. If we play that, we can see it's a green screen thing. We put smoke and all the CG buildings. We key all the stuff in the foreground out and compose everything together. This one is also from Tell Me a Story. So you can see there's a blood is running from his legs. Yeah, just play it. The CG blood. This one is also from the RTJ's music video. So we download some practical, we buy the practical from the website and add some practical smokes and the lights. It's a day to night shot. So I spend a lot of time on how to recolor it. Oh, actually, I want to share something. Is before I dive into this industry, I thought this is the work for the colorist. Like the production team should send this to the color house first and create the night scene, and then I add the smoke or something else, but it's totally different. a lot of production team, they wanted to do the color in the VFX part. So that is the very good example for it. This is also my painting work. I helped the American Film Institution, their thesis film as a short film. If you play it, you can see the background. They shot it in LA. And they want to change the thing, have the China's countryside feeling. And this one is Whiskey Cavalier. And we have the laser squad team to create the whole sequence for the lasers, the green lights. Also from the show Warrior, I ate some blood run through his eyes. If you play it. This is the show Future Man. So I actually did it 2 years ago. Collaborate with another compositor, and I helped him to roll the guy out and rebuild all the background, the structures, the house, the tent, and add some effects to show him up. Wow, this is from When They See Us. It's a really intense experience. So we did a lot of driving comp. The driving comp is actually people who is driving in the car, but they shoot that in the green screen studio. And we composed some background to the green screen. And this one, they actually have a very high level standard for it. So we revised it as a 30 versions of it. If you play it, it looks easy, but actually it's not. You see a lot of like blur, the edges going on in the background. That is like a challenge one.
Amazing.
So that's the last one. It's from Midnight, Texas. And it's a clean up thing. You see he has a wigs, the line on his bike, if you play that, and I have to remove it. So this line.
Oh, there's like something holding him, or? Right. Okay.
So I have to clean it up, like rebuild all the things in the background and the paint, the frame by frame of the water splash.
Yeah, it's incredible. And like you said, you know, it's really, if we can't tell that there's visual effects, then you did your job right. So it's amazing. What project, whether it was from the ones we've seen or something else on your resume, was there a single project or a sequence from a project that you really enjoyed working on?
I remember it was When They See Us. Because the difference is a lot of the TV shows recently in Netflix, HBO, they're shot by digital. But when I know this much is true, that show, they shoot that by film. So you see the noise, the grain are really, really different from the digital work. And we spend a lot of time on how to recreate the grain to match the grain the same exactly one to the plate. And because they also really have a high level standard of the delivery work. So we spend a lot of time before we really start the work to see how we can create a new workflow or pipeline for it. We did a lot of tests. And we started on last year, November, and we still continue to do that through the pandemic. So it's really nice experience to how to smoothly transfer our work in the office to remote work, and the things works.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. I know you have been working during the pandemic, and fortunately, you've been able to work remotely. We actually have a shot of your workstation.
Okay.
So let's put that up. You're in Los Angeles right now, but you normally work in New York. You're taking a little bit of a break.
Okay.
But your workstation's in New York, so we'll throw that up on screen.
Oh yeah, that is my apartment. So I have a workstation at home, and I built up two monitors, dual monitors, the same setup in the office. Actually, the left one, the Apple old model monitors I bought from school, the SVA, like after school sale, really cheap, $35. And I also give myself like a standing desk, for our VFX artists, our neck always hurts so much. So it's really good to standing work. And we are all using remote work. It means we control our workstation in the office. The workstation in the office are running 24/7 every day. So we have to log in to the system in our office. So we don't need to install any softwares or any license in our self workstation. And it also helps to do the DNA projects, which is the privacy thing we have to protect for our clients. They set up all the firewalls for it. Yeah,
Sure.
That is my workstation in New York City.
And so, how are you working during the pandemic? I know you probably can't talk about which pieces you're working on because they're probably confidential, but can you tell us a little bit about the work that you've been doing and sort of how you stay motivated?
I actually control myself or try really hard to have the same daily routine when I was in the office, like log in, punch in at the same time, and have the 1 hour break during lunchtime. But things can be changed a little bit, like the producers or the supervisors may call you after work because you are really easy to log in. And the clients may have some notes to kick back. But the good thing is sometimes we don't need to wait for the notes. Before the quarantine, sometimes we wait in the office to have the client's feedback, and we just sit there and do nothing for like 1 or 2 hours until they have some comments come back. It's really boring, but we're making money, so it's good. But during the pandemic, during the quarantine, we can just relax at home and wait for the notes. Whatever the notes comes in, we can just revise it. So it's very flexible.
So after you graduated, what was your career path? How did you get into the work that you're doing now?
Okay, so after I graduate, our program advisor, she sent us an email for the whole people. They said there's an opportunity in Brooklyn, and they need people to do a very cool music video, VFX project, and they gave us the connected information. So I just emailed them, say, hey, I may can do it. So they gave me an interview. So that is my first job. For 7 months, I did 3 projects for them, including VFX, compositing, and also motion graphic. They do a lot, like commercial things. And after it, I feel like I wanted to only focus on TV shows or the feature films. So I become a freelancer. My first freelancer job is in FX. I actually don't remember when I sent my resume to them, but like in their artist library, they have me. So at that time, they're really in a busy time in the spring. So they say, hey, do you want to come here and try? We offer you a contract. I said, okay, sure. And after that, I jumped between FX and Zoic a little bit. And 2 years later, last year on September, and FX saying, hey, we really have a good time with you, and we wanted to keep you in our NY office. Do you want to be a staff here? I said, yeah. I mean, it's like a two-way thing. It's not only like one way. Like the company, they want me, they offer me one job, then I'm starting to go. I also looking for the company. I need to see how my vibe match the companies. You know, it's not only like, oh, they want me, so I have to go. So the freelancer job gave me opportunity to see if I like the company, because after being a staff, you spend most of your time of the day in the office, like 8 to 10 hours. So I have to see if I love the people there, if we have a good communication. And after I freelance in Fields FX for 1 year, I feel like I like the company. So I started to be a staff there last year, September. And it's 1 year already.
And you mentioned to me that you dabble in some music as well. So, you know,
right.
Can you tell us a little bit about your personal work?
Yeah, sure. So after the quarantine, you know, because we have the on-set shooting ban, the government don't allow the crew to go outside and shoot. So in this case, we really have a light workload. So before it, we're super busy, like OT every day, like overtime. But after that, not that much work to do. So I think I always hope myself to keep busy. So I attend the Berkeley Music School and trying to find another, like a second time job as a music producer. So I keep creating the electronic music. And recently I'm collaborate with a tech company to make a commercial song for them. And it's like another experience, but I can spare my time with that and keep busy, which is good.
That's great. And, you know, can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned that you're originally from China. Can you talk about being Chinese in the industry, as well as being a woman in the industry, and whether you faced any challenges or, you know, you've done anything to help, you know, people understand the Chinese culture a little bit more?
It's a good question. Maybe I wanted to share my experience as a woman in the industry first. So at Fields FX in my company, we actually, everybody respect a woman a lot, and we have a females forum. We have it every Wednesday, and all the women, including the production team, like the producers or the supervisors, and all the artists like me, we gathering in the meeting room to share our working experience, like what time we feel a little bit not confident, or how to build to make ourselves more comfortable in the working space. And it helps a lot to build the confidence and the relationship between females, and we all feel like being supported, like we are not just by ourselves, you know, especially in this industry. We definitely got more males than females, especially for the artists and like CG artists or whatever. We have more females for the producers, but I feel lucky to work in the space which the female got supported. And the other question is how I feel as an Asian or Chinese woman working in the United States in this industry. I do have some feeling about it, like people are paying more attention on Chinese culture or the Asian cultures, and you know, all over the world, they collaborate together. There's more projects coming from China, and they want to do commercials in United States. They want to do good artwork, but there more happens in the commercial industry. In the TV industry, the industry still want to have more local people, but the artist is fine. I mean, they think have me, Asian people, a Chinese in the company. It's a really fun thing. Like I can share with them all the culture things, and they ask me a lot about like how the show runs in China, like how the producers will connect to the clients. They're curious about it, and I'm happy to share with them.
Good. And so, you know, especially in light of the pandemic and specific to, you know, you're being someone from another country, can you offer some advice to either students, whether they be, you know, from the US or from abroad, about, you know, how best to work in the industry? Anything, you know, specifically you'd like to offer them?
Yeah, I mean, it's really depends on people. I heard a lot from like alumni or the senior people when I was in school. They said there's only certain studios or companies, they sponsor people for the international people. They don't sponsor people, hire them as a staff or give you the visa. I was really afraid of that when I was in school. But after it, I built myself connection with the industry and negotiate with them a lot. And my company are willing to sponsor me a visa as the first person in the New York City, which I feel so lucky for it. So I think other people's advice is really important, but don't rely on that too much because things will change and the different person, they have different career path. But it's always good to have more communication with the company, like let them know what you need. Like some students, they're always afraid to tell the HR or their supervisor, say they actually want a good work. They actually want like a more heavy, complicated shot, or they wanted a visa, they desire it, but they're just afraid to say it because the industry have so much competition. They don't want to lose the chance, so they don't want to speak it up. But my experience is I encourage people to speak to your boss, your supervisor, let them know what you want so they can have a good way to help you with that. They can help you to achieve your goal. That is important.
That's great. So, you know, I think the work that you showed and like I said, your very extensive list of credits is so great to see, having only been out of our program for the past 3 years. So I want to offer our congratulations, and we're so happy for your success. And we hope you'll keep us in the know about your next projects. Do you have a website that you want to refer people to, or a Vimeo page?
Maybe my Vimeo page.
Okay, we'll put that down in the information section. So you can check out her work, including her thesis film, I Want You So Bad. So thank you, Mengshi, and
thank you, Adam.
We hope to see you soon.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks for the chance to talk with you.
Of course. I'd like to welcome Jinten Chu, a 2017 graduate of SVA's MFA Computer Arts program, whose thesis film Verge was shown in year 2 of SVA premieres. Since graduation, Jinten has worked as a CG generalist, lighter, and compositor. As an intern for Blue Sky Studios, he worked on the film Ferdinand, and since graduation, he's been at Frame Store, where he's worked on commercials for Verizon, Kellogg's, Google, Nintendo, and many others. So without further ado, let's welcome Jinten. Hey, how are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm good.
It's good to see you. So it's very cool that you've been working at Frame Store the past few years since graduation. A lot of SVA alumni have worked there in the past. But I'd love to start by having you talk a little bit about your SVA experience as a grad student.
Yeah. Well, it's very. I still miss that. That's 2 years. It's been very busy and kind of like, I don't know. I stay at school a lot. It's a lot of late night school, stay overnight, and the classmates are very tight to each other, just helping each other to get the. And our teacher, faculty is pretty supportive for our film, our purpose, and also got the. As school also support us a lot. We attend the premiere in the Los Angeles. It was very amazing experience, like for the kind of more like a career purpose, and they expand our like a network. Well, I think overall it's pretty good. Really like it.
And you know, you went with the group to the second year of SVA premieres in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
How was that experience for you?
Yeah, that was, like I said, it's pretty good. I mean, we got to visit like a Walt Disney studio, animation studios, and it was like a very nice experience. If you get to see the like actual like a big studio, how they can see how they works. I mean, we can't really see the detail inside, but get some overview, and it's pretty nice. And also we got a very nice theater. I remember that was like an Academy Award or something.
Yeah, it's one of the Academy for Motion Pictures theaters in Los Angeles. Yeah, it's really a beautiful place. And your thesis film was a really beautiful piece. You know, being computer art, it honestly looked so professional. It looked like it could have come out of Pixar that year. So it was really a great piece. So, you know, since graduation, which was just 3 years ago for you, you've been working pretty consistently. You are at Framestore, as I mentioned. So can you talk about your career since graduation?
Yeah. So after I graduated, I went to the Blue Sky just for the internship, and did some training there, and then got a little bit chance to work on the Ferdinand movie for some shots. It was very nice. And after that, just after the Blue Sky, I went to Framestore. Also did a little bit of internship there, and then been work there since then.
That's great. And you mostly work on commercials there. Have you done any like film or television work, or it's all been commercials?
Yeah, it's all commercial here. So Framestore started to do some like television works in the state, but most of it still for the commercials. But then no films here. Films in Montreal and London.
Mm-hmm. Got it. And so just so people are aware, you're actually in Chicago right now, where you said Framestore opened a new office. So how long have you been in Chicago?
Yeah, the Framestore launched a new office. Yeah, 2017. And
okay,
this is a new office, and I moved to Chicago because the new office here.
That's great. But that being said, are you working in the office at all? I mean, I know you're home today, but so have you been working from home most of this time during the pandemic?
Yeah, we've been working from home since March. It's been
okay.
6 months now.
And I know that you actually live with another Framestore employee. So how's that? I know he's in the background, so you might not be able to talk about it. But is it interesting to live with someone you work with?
Well, I think I mean, like we just moved into the new place like recently. So I was living by myself, and he was living by himself too, and then decided to make some change mix together. So then we move in to a new place. It's just been it's the second week, so it's just
okay. So you're still getting used to each other, but
so it was pretty good. Well, we knew each other already. So,
are you working on the same projects, or does he work on completely separate projects?
No, he is more like a designer, but I'm the CG artist, so it's kind of different. He do more like a concept stuff for like a pitch for the project, commercial projects, but I usually more work on the actual project.
Got it. So I'd love to show a little bit of your work. We have some photos, and then we have one of your commercials that we'll show. But we're going to throw up the photos first. And so the first photos are from your work at Blue Sky Studios, like you mentioned. And Blue Sky Studios, for those who don't know, it's the studio that created Ice Age and Ferdinand and Rio, and the director of Ferdinand and Ice Age and many of their other films is SVA alumnus Carlos Saldana. So he's one of the major forces behind that studio. So if you want to tell us, Chintan, about these photos that we're looking at.
So by that time, when I was in Blue Sky, they're still using the other system called CGI Studios. So, but now they change since they've been bought by Disney. They change the systems, but whatever. And when we first enter Blue Skies, we just need to do some training to get to know like how to use their proprietary software, and this like Ice Age 5 shots is what part of the training stuff. So in this work, our mentor asked us to find a reference, and use the reference as like a lighting reference to match the lighting for the actual shots here. So it's a result.
Very cool. Yeah. So the reference shot in the upper right-hand corner is your lighting reference for
the color, for the tone, for the light angle, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Sure.
I think,
and then
that was very common. It's very common, like a practice at all the major studios, I think.
Got it. And this is also from Blue Sky, sort of similar.
Yeah. This is kind of the same practice. This one is also got a reference, but we by that time we're not like a very strictly tied to the reference, so it's kind of more free, get your own creativity to create a color tone and the lighting directions. Yeah, similar practice.
And then we have some photos from your work at Frame Store.
Oh yeah. This was like an early project that I done when I came to Frame Store. Yeah, this is a typical VFX shot. You got the CG asset, you got the matte painting, you got the live action play layer. So I was working on the assets for the kayak layer.
And then this is more sort of recognizable work. This is from a Stadia commercial.
Yeah, Google Stadia. Yeah, there's also the VFX shot there. Just got some CG like asset there, just blending with the character on the green screen. So yeah.
Sure. This is also from that.
Yeah, this is also like the same project.
And then Tony the Tiger, you got to work on an iconic character.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Since Frame Store wants, I feel like a Kellogg's project, I'm working on Tony the Tiger. Yeah, this is only the lighting here. So this a purely lighting shot for me. The character, the depth, that kind of stuff is not, I didn't work on this, but just lighting.
Okay. And then we have another shot. Same thing. You worked on the lighting for this commercial.
Yeah. Yes.
And then Shoe Carnival, which did you work on the effects for this one, or also mainly lighting?
No, I work on asset and lighting. So this is the more recent done project. I'm not so sure about this since the pandemic, but I'm not sure this project was original to be the live action mix or not. But there's a full CG stuff, and since the pandemic, we only just can't. There's no people, no crew to go out for the shoot. So this is a full CG. A lot of projects being like converted to a full CG, and this is one of the projects that we've done full CG here.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I was working on the asset and the lighting stuff.
And we have one more from that, so same sort of thing. So absolutely everything in this commercial is CG.
Yeah. So like a full CG stuff. Just like
cool.
Like the Blue Sky stuff you see at the beginning is full CG stuff.
Okay. And then we have a video. We have one of your commercials. We can't air it with the sound, but if you want to talk us through it. It's your Nintendo Switch commercial. So we're going to show that. It's about a minute long. If you want to tell us about your work on this.
Yeah, okay. So those are the shots been like a purely comp shot here until there's a normal comp VFX shot. Yeah, there's a CG character here. So we basically created CG characters for the Nintendo stuff, and yeah, I was working on the character asset and the lighting and maybe some of the lighting comp if it was necessary to have. Yeah, because I mean, in the not like a there was like this one was like CG character and CG environment. Yeah, and this the game footage after that. So we only work on the part before.
Got it. So, I mean, how many people at Framestore would work on a commercial like this?
You mean in our office or just?
Yeah.
Our office is pretty small. We only have like 15 artists.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have much artists. We're really small office here compared to New York.
So would all 15 work on a commercial like that, or just a few of them would?
No, everybody's working on commercial. Some people are the designer, some are the like me and the CG artist, some are the compositor. Everybody has different roles, but we all work on commercial here. Has there been a favorite piece that you've worked on so far at Framestore? Like a favorite commercial of yours? Framestore. Well, there's a shot I think is pretty good for the beer commercial, but I can't show it now.
Yeah, it's still confidential. It's not.
I know.
Hit the airwaves. Yeah.
I haven't seen it on the air yet, so I really don't know.
That's totally fine. So yeah, we often have alumni saying that they can't tell us what they're working on specifically, but so you just worked on that commercial. You told us about like the shoe Carnival commercial that was done during the pandemic. Are you finding it? Are you basically keeping the same work schedule, and how's your like motivation? Like, are you staying motivated and able to work, or is it a little bit different?
I think it's not much big difference besides the communication, like working in the actual office. Just a lot of times, just a lot of them, like a virtual meeting and text. Like a communication, but besides that, I think work is fine. We kind of like a little bit issue at the beginning for the connection to the server, but since we passed that time, I think everything is kind of smooth. So it's work. It's been nice to work from home.
Okay, so you don't necessarily miss going into the office then.
Well,
we won't tell anyone.
Well, there's the pros and cons, but at least I don't feel. I was like a bit worried, like a work from home situation, because I'm kind of the person who needs to be like in the workspace to do the actual work. But after a few weeks, like adjustment, I think the overall is pretty good. I kind of enjoy it now. So.
Good. That's great. I mean, there are quite a few people that have said the same thing. I mean, it's different, but in some ways it could be a good different. So, I'm so glad that you've been, working during this. So can you give some advice, especially for students who are pursuing this line of work and might be entering the workforce during a pandemic? Hopefully it doesn't last too much longer, but can you give any advice that, from your perspective to folks who are looking to get into this industry?
I think first of all, and you should just build your strong like a reel, and do as much as you can to put the only like the good project that you think in the reel. Don't show anything that you feel is not good. Everybody thinks it's not good. Focus on the good stuff and even though it's short, it's fine. And then just apply a lot. Internship, runner. I don't think runner is good. Maybe for the film it's fine, but I don't know, for commercial, I think we already learned from the school. I think do the internship will be a good start if you want to join the big studios. And then the network connection here is very important. A lot of job now is been referred by somebody working in the industries. Just for example, like in our office, a lot of people, the producer always, our lead always ask, oh, do you know anyone? Do you know anybody can work on the project? Do you know they are good or not? That kind of stuff. So I think it's very important to build a connection with the people who are in industry. Yeah. Well, I think that's it. Yeah.
Well, thank you for those answers. I think it's great. And again, I'm so pleased that you're working, and we're going to have to keep an eye out for that beer commercial. Hopefully we'll know that it's a Frame Store commercial and it's your work, but I'm sure that most people watching have seen your work. They just don't know it's your work, but that's with a lot of our alumni and a lot of visual effects artists. So I encourage people to keep an eye out on those commercials that we typically scroll past. But it's beautiful work, and it's very cool work that you're doing. So thank you so much for being here, and I hope you stay well, and I hope we'll connect again soon.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for inviting me. That's pretty nice.
All right, be well.
See ya.
Hi, I'd like to welcome Aishin Melody Shi, a 2016 graduate of SVA's MFA Computer Arts program, whose thesis film Cacophony was shown in year 1 of SVA premieres. Since graduation, Melody has worked for CNN as a motion graphic designer, where she creates, designs, and produces animations, illustrations, and special looks for all of CNN's digital platforms. 2 of her CNN pieces, Destroyed and Love and Conflict, were nominated for Emmy Awards for Outstanding Graphic Design and Art Direction. So let's welcome Melody. Hey, Melody, how are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm Melody. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
We're thrilled to have you. Thanks for being here. So I can't wait to talk about your career and your Emmy-nominated work. And but I'd love to start off with a bit about your academic experience. At SVA, you went to the graduate program in computer arts. So I'd love to hear about that experience and your previous academic experience first.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I am a motion graphics designer, animator, illustrator based in New York, and currently working in CNN since 2016. So I graduated from School of Visual Arts, Computer Arts in 2016, but I studied visual communication design when I was in Taiwan. So that's my college background, and we we learned a little bit of everything, like from, fine arts, watercolor, charcoal, to digital arts. And, when I was in college, I just always know, like, I love illustration. But after graduated from college, I just feel like it's not enough. I want to explore more. So that's why I noticed, like, oh, SVA has this program, computer arts. So that's why I came here to pursue my master's degree.
And what was that program like in the computer arts program that sort of helped you in your career now?
I think SVA computer art program is really solid, like not only the teachers, but also the peers and classmates. And I think the program is, they teach you the foundation, like tech knowledge and, technical skills. But also, well, like people from SVA, they don't know the homework it's a lot, but I think that's a really solid training. So after SVA, I have the confidence to, get into the industry right away. And I think that really sharpened my technical skills. Yeah, that gave me a lot of, encouragement.
That's great. And you were a part of year one of SVA premieres when we took you to Los Angeles in 2016. So can you talk about being a part of that program and how it helped launch your career?
Oh yeah, that's a really awesome program. So I got to visit LA and that was really fun. And during that program, I met a lot of, talented artists and filmmakers, and we still keep in touch today. So, and like in the industry, like sometimes, if you are freelancers, you will meet them in different studios. I think that's the most amazing part. It's that like SVA's alumni are everywhere and they're like very successful. So yeah, I think that program like helped me a lot, like get to know people in the industry, and also have this like a supporting communities.
So how did you land at CNN? Because it's interesting, a lot of the other people we're interviewing as part of After School Special are at other animation studios like Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, and you wouldn't necessarily think of a place like CNN as a place where motion graphic designers and animators go. So how did you start working there, and can you talk about your career trajectory over the past 4 years there?
Yeah, of course. I was surprised as well because like before getting to CNN, I thought I would be working on news, oriented projects. But actually, so I am in CNN motion team. So basically we made everything for our CNN digital platform. So we make animations, explainers, show branding package, this kind of stuff for, social media, CNN website. And it's very diverse, and like how I get into CNN, it's amazing. So it's actually because of my thesis film Cacophony. So I still remember like when I just graduated, I just got into this panic mode because I need a job and it's hard to survive in New York without a job. So yeah, so I just like sending out emails to companies and studios. So I had an interview with CNN, and I think my boss John, he has seen my Cacophony, this film, somewhere online. And because I was lucky, that film got featured a lot, like, in different platforms and, festivals. So my boss, John, told me like, hey, I recognize your film. So I think that's the reason why that got me into CNN.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I'd love to show some segments of a few of your pieces. Let's start with Cacophony. We're just going to show a few seconds of each piece, but we'll link to the longer pieces in the information below this video. But I'd love to start with Cacophony, which was the thesis film that you showed in SVA premieres. So we'll show a few seconds of the film, and if you want to talk about it while it's playing, that would be great.
Yeah, so Cacophony is my very first 2D animation that I made in SVA, and the story is based on my personal experience and feeling when I first moved to New York. And New York is very different. It's like a unique city, and it's very different from where I'm from. The city is chaotic but full of energy. So I made this, like, we call it sound visualization animation to illustrate my feelings. Yeah, so this is the background of the film.
Very cool. And so I now want to show some of your work that you did at CNN. The first one is the first time I realized I was Black. So this is definitely very relevant right now. So if we can show a little bit of that, we'll put that on screen. And if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so this film, I had an opportunity to design and animate this series. First time I realized I was Black for CNN. So this story is actually based on a book by I'm like trying to pronounce his name correctly. Exactly, yes.
Great.
So he talked about, like, first time he realized his skin color made him, different. So, and like in this project, we also asked several celebrities, like you know, like filmmakers talk about, you know, like how they feel when they, you know, that moment when they feel like their skin color is different and that mattered. So yeah, this is the background of the film.
And then the next one is Destroyed, which you were nominated for an Emmy for, so in 2018. So let's show Destroyed.
Yeah, so this is a project that we collaborate with CNN Investigates team. So this project uncover police like destroy hundreds of rape kits before statutes of limitations expired or when there's no time limit to, you know, prosecute. So in this animation, we use like real police documents as a background textures and combine like hand-drawn 2D styles with 3D. So in this like first person experience to tell the traumatizing process of the, you know, performing the exam. And yeah, so, and how like police trashing rape kits like jeopardize public safety. And I think the most amazing part is after the story was published, it raised concerns. So a lot of lawmakers and politicians were like fighting for change. So that's amazing. And I realized that like actually animation and visual storytelling is so powerful that can, you know, lead to, you know, create this like a real world change. And this piece is also nominated by Emmy in 2019 last year. So yeah, that was a great honor.
And then the last one, Love and Conflict, was also Emmy nominated. So we'll show a little bit of that one as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so Love and Conflict is a project we made in 2017. It's a collection of 5 short animations based on real letters from conflict zones around the world. So I got to work on one letter about a brother and his sister got separated during Korean War. And after that, they never had a chance to see each other in 45 years. And it's just a beautiful and sad stories. And I use a lot of, you know, metaphorical visuals to represent the feelings and the sadness.
Those are really beautiful pieces. I'm wondering sort of the creative process with these. Are you sitting down with the journalists and reporters? Are you do you have the freedom to create the visualizations and art however you'd like, or are there any restrictions on it? And was there a particular favorite film you've worked on out of those?
So take Love and Conflicts as example. So yeah, like kicking off the project, we will have a meeting with producers and we will get scripts. Sometimes we will have photos about the interviewees because those stories are based on, you know, like real life, like real stories. So yeah, we will talk about the tone and like the style of the animation. Then that's what I love about CNN is they just give us like, you know, the creative rooms to be ourselves and to, you know, as an artist, it's really awesome to just be fully creative for the projects. Yeah.
That's great. Was there one in particular? Was Love and Conflict your favorite out of those, or did you have a specific one that really touched you?
It's really hard to pick one, but I would say Love and Conflicts like I sort of resonate the most. I don't know, cause like I am, you know, so I came to the United States myself, and my parents and my whole families are in Taiwan. So I sort of, you know, feel that like you are separate, a part of your families, that kind of feeling. So yeah, I add a little bit personal notes and the feelings to the animation.
And can we talk about that a little bit? You know, being an Asian woman in the industry, can you talk about your experience a bit and if you've ever faced any challenges because of that?
I would say I am really lucky. Like all the people I met in the industry, they're very supportive. And but I know like as an Asian, as a foreigner and, you know, female, it's kind of hard to there's always a glass ceilings for us. So I know a lot of my peers and my friends, they are like fighting really hard for that. And I think things are getting better. And like more and more people are aware of that. So there are a lot of communities such as Punimation and women animation organizations. They are helping female artists to, you know, like have a better path and have a better backup. So I think that's really helpful, and I am really grateful that like all the people I met is, you know, really supportive. So that also you know, lead me to like I also want to do something for this female artists, you know, communities.
That's great. Yeah, we have a lot of involvement at SVA with women in animation specifically. They're a great organization that actually anyone, male or female, can be a member of.
Exactly.
So I think it's great that people are a part of these networking groups and really support one another. So thank you for pointing those out. So let's talk a little bit about what you're working on now, especially, you know, in the middle of the pandemic. I'm guessing you're working from home. So I think we're in your workstation as it is. So if you want to show us that, and if you want to talk about
Yeah,
the work
sure.
that's on your workstation right now, let's see what you've got.
So my workstation is also AKA my bedroom, because I live in New York, Brooklyn. I don't have too much space, but yeah, I can show you my workstation right now. So this is my bed. And this is my workstation. So
It's your office, yeah.
and you see all the sticky notes on the wall. It's my, you know, like reminders and like to-do list. I think that's really helpful. And I am working on 2 monitors. So I worked on Cintiq a lot, especially for illustrators and Photoshop. Yeah. And then for the second monitors, the big monitors, I don't think you can see. Oh yeah. So yeah, sometimes like I will work on, you know, After Effects stuff here, and then just checking files. Yeah, so this is my workstation.
That's great. So what was, you know, we saw some art on your animation software that you told me before the call was personal work. Can you talk about any personal work that you're doing or have done recently?
Sure, yeah. I have been working on a lot of, you know, illustrations myself, because as I said, like I love illustration, and I always found myself, you know, just relax and be fully myself doing the illustration. So yeah, I have been doing that, and that's a part of like meditation process, I would say. So yeah, I can show you a little bit. Like this is what's on my screen. So this is my quarantine plants. It's inspired by my daily life. So yeah, we all, you know, cooked up at home. So like, you know, we start, you know, cooking more and more. And so I have this like kitchen plants.
That's
So
great.
that's
do you feel like in your normal workday that you're able to stay motivated, and are you connecting with your colleagues on a regular basis?
At the beginning it's hard. This is new to everybody. So yeah, like I find myself struggle a little bit at the beginning, but since, you know, because we have been working from home, wow, about like 4 months now. So I started to find out these patterns and like daily routines. Yeah, so we like doing work, we have checking every week, and you know, we use Slack. So yeah, our like team members chat on Slack very often. Yeah, so I think that kind of you know, activities helps a lot. Just stay connected.
And I know you've been doing some freelance work as well, and I'd like to show some of that. It's, you know, it's just a short animation called Murals. So let's show that. It's like 10 seconds long, and then you can tell us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so this is a freelance project, and outside of CNN. So sometimes I take on some freelance work. So this is a looping animation for a startup company, and this company is selling digital art frames. So instead of the still image, you can, you know, choose whatever you want to put into the art frame. So it can be like looping animations, it can be your moving photos or videos, something like that. So I made this animation clips for them, and it's very interesting. It's so the message about this is, you know, we want to combine modern art and classic together. So to show this mix and match idea to inspire people. So you will see this like some classic arts from Dali, or girls with the pearl earrings, something like that.
Very cool. So before we go, I'd love for you to offer any advice to either students or other folks who are looking to get into this field. And especially in light of the pandemic, I've heard that there are more animation jobs out there, which is great. So any advice you could offer would be terrific.
Yeah, as you said, like during the pandemic, I know especially in motion graphics industry, there are a lot of jobs, you know, available opens, and I think that's the amazing part, because as far as I know, like some companies are shifting the budgets to, you know, shifting the live action budgets to animation, like 2D animation, 3D, something like that, that you can done, you know, you can work on projects at home. And so, and I know this is hard, like pandemic, like no one thought about that, and we are still trying to wrap our head around this. But remember, you are always artists. Like this environments are going to change. It's always gonna shift. But you need to remind yourself, like, I'm an artist, so all things are gonna reform you, and how you pivot about it, it's really important. And I think like all the cultural difference will, you know, inform you to be a unique creator. So this is the most powerful thing. So just embrace what's going on right now and find the balance between life and work. I think that's really important, because we are living like the busy world, like I would say pre-COVID, it's like everybody's very busy, and especially when in New York, so like things just like shifting really fast. But I think especially this time, we don't need to feel guilty about it. Just, you know, slow down a little bit and like find your own balance. I think that's really helpful.
Well, I think
That's
those
my
are words. That's great. I think those are words to live by. I think it's really beautiful what you just said, and your work is stunning. Like I said, we'll include links to the full pieces in this video so people can check them out. But your work is beautiful. I think it's terrific that you have such a unique job that is doing really important work. And I wish you continued success. And thank you so much for being with us today, Melody.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's good talking with you.
Great talking with you as well. Have a good day. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this Q&A and hope you'll check out our other after-school special videos on the School of Visual Arts' YouTube channel. Thank you for your interest in and support of SVA and its alumni, and for your support of the arts in general. Stay safe, stay healthy, and be well.